Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Eric. Eric is from Phoenix in Arizona in the USA. So let's see what Eric has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hello Eric, I'm very well. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you very much.
So how's your day been so far?
Busy.
Busy man.
Yeah, the first half of the day is always busier than the second half.
I see. Okay, Eric, so tell me, where are you from?
Phoenix, Arizona.
What's the best part of living in Phoenix?
Best part, living in Phoenix, two best parts. There's a tie. I'd say one, I don't have winter, and two, I have mountains that surround me.
And that's the place where you were born and raised?
No, I was born and raised in a small town called Hanover, and that's in Pennsylvania, which is on the east coast of the United States.
Okay.
And I moved out here in 1996.
And why the move from there to Phoenix, Arizona?
Hanover is a small town, a very blue-collared, industrial kind of town, so there's limited opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And I never liked cold weather, never liked it, so they were the reasons why I had to leave.
I see. And all your family are back in Pennsylvania?
Yes, they are.
See. And tell me, I know you're a businessman, so tell me a little bit about your career. What do you do for a living?
So I'm a mortgage loan originator. So a mortgage officer, loan officer. We do the loans for people when they want to buy a home or refinance. So if you're looking to purchase a home and you need financing, you're not paying cash for the property, we are the people that get you the loan. So we communicate with underwriters and get the documentation from you and tell you what programs are best. And so yes, we get you the money so you can buy the home.
I see. And how long have you been in this business for?
Since 1999.
So it's been a while.
23 years. Yeah. 23 years. Yep.
Eric, so before we start our journey, William the Magic Box, I would like you to tell me something interesting about yourself.
Just one thing?
What comes to your mind straight away?
The first thing that comes to my mind straight away is I hitchhiked from Pennsylvania to Florida when I was still a senior in high school. I was 18 years of age.
Wow.
So most people don't know that about me, and that's one of the first things that come out. I'm like, very dangerous, very brazen, and yeah. So there's one interesting thing.
So tell me the experience. How did the opportunity come along, and how was the experience doing that?
So the month prior, so this is March 1990. I'm a senior in high school. I had saved up money, worked, some part-time jobs and whatnot, and I wanted to go to the Bahamas. I always wanted to go to the Bahamas again. Back where I lived in Pennsylvania, very small town, small-minded type of atmosphere. So there's always a dream for me to go to the Bahamas since I was a little kid. So went to the Bahamas, 4 or 5 nights, met 3 lovely women that were from Florida that I had a wonderful time with. And they were like, hey, come back to Florida, we'll put you up, you have a great time. So I immediately started planning that adventure for the following month in April of 1990. And I had 2 guys that were going to go down with me, and they backed out at the last minute. And I was so angry. I said, that's fine. Drop me off at the nearest truck stop. I'm hitchhiking. And they thought I was joking. Everybody thought I was joking, but I hitchhiked to Florida.
Amazing. My goodness. What a story. Eric, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and to share your point of views?
Yes.
Amazing. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So, this is my best friend. Full of random fun questions, okay? I'm just gonna play a song now just for us to get a bit in the mood before the first question. Let's do it. Okay, Eric, so before we start the game, through the journey, if there is a question that you don't want to talk about for some reason, you don't want to answer, I always can change, okay? All very friendly.
All right.
First question for you is, what is a significant event that has changed you?
Cancer. Prostate cancer. Diagnosed with prostate cancer. Oh man, 7 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And that probably was the most significant event that changed my outlook completely on life. Yep.
Are you okay to talk about?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm, recovered. I mean, it's in remission,
So how did you find out and how did you face the challenge at the time, the reality at the time, and how did you come out of it?
So it was discovered in normal routine yearly checkups. Blood work came in, the PSA count was a little high, went through the other procedures, MRIs, biopsy, discovered it was beginning stages of prostate cancer. And so that's how it was discovered. And yeah.
And how did it change you? Why do you see yourself a different person right now? Because you kind of look after more into your health, or how is the change as before?
So I was, always a healthy individual, always an active individual. But when that happened in my life, I became even more healthier. I started running more and more because that actually helps the prostate. The more you run, the better. So it's good for prostate health. But I think the most important factor for me at that point was, really embracing the moment of life. Like, stop trying to plan everything for the future. I mean, you still have to do that in balance, but prior to that, I was always saving and putting in investments in 401k and saving for retirement and saving for retirement and saving for retirement. How big is my 401k? And when that moment happened, I was like, there might not be retirement. Let's try to focus on the present of what we have today and be more grateful for that and invest more in the present. And so it completely changed my outlook and viewpoint, perception on so many things in life.
I see. All right. Thanks for sharing that. Thank you. Next question. Let's do it. Right. Before the next question, tell me what do you like the most about your business, about your job? What's the best part of it? What brings the biggest joy? And also, there is always a challenging part. What that would be?
The biggest joy I have in my business with helping people is, getting them across the finish line, making them homeowners, giving them something they thought maybe could never happen. Especially the ones that have never done it before. They've never owned a home. They didn't think it was a thing of reality that they could ever own a home. And I turn that perspective around and, because that's a very pivotal point for a lot of people in life when they're growing up, if you will, they're maturing, they're getting into the familyhood of life, they're, turning the corner. There's a different chapter in life that's happening for these people, and they're moving from renters or living with parents into home ownership, and helping navigate that is very pleasurable. Now, a downside to what I deal with daily is Maybe the difficult consumers can that don't want to give you documentation because they just think that they don't need to, and corporate or government bureaucracy, regulations that make our job harder, which makes it more difficult for the consumer to become a homeowner. So there's a lot of regulations that have unintended consequences. I mean, I think that the root of many regulations, especially in my industry, have good intentions, but they rarely are thought out, from people that are in the trenches, and they always have unintended consequences, and that's a daily battle.
Saying that, when your clients, they approach you, they come to your business, how long does it take, the whole process? Or it depends a lot of things, but usually how long does it take for them to get the keys of their home? They go, okay, I'm done.
So normal process, I would say, it takes about a week, maybe a little bit less, for the initial pre-approval process. Doing an application, pulling credit, retrieving documentation, reviewing the documentation, saying you are approved for this amount of a home, and then sending them out to go shopping with a realtor or a real estate agent. That could be, usually that takes maybe another week to 2 weeks for them to find a home. Mm-hmm. Once they find a home and we're in contract, we're at 30 days. Roughly 30 days later, they're getting the keys in their hand.
Amazing. Right. Next question is, if you could give just one advice right now to your current president, what would you say? Let's say you have the camera of the president looking at you right now. You're doing a FaceTime with the president, just both of you. What would you say? Just one advice.
One advice. I would say, underneath today's situation, the most relevant, most recent situation would be to not sign the bill that's coming to his desk that the Senate just passed on the funding bill, basically the new funding bill for the United States, which is billions and billions of dollars. And it's resulting in an extra 87,000 IRS agents, which just makes government bigger. And the last thing, in my opinion, that we need is bigger government. So that would be, my advice would be like, Mr. President, when the bill comes to your desk, please do not sign it so it goes into action.
Amazing. Hopefully he will watch the interview and he's gonna listen to you. Never know. Never know.
Never.
Next question. All right. Next question is, if you could have a cup of tea, with a fictional character, who that would be and why?
A fictional character. I would say Dr. Seuss.
Tell me why.
Because he rhymes. I love his rhyming, and it's funny. I mean, even for me in today's world, I have kids. I mean, I've got kids, right? So I've gone through that chapters in life of small kids, and but reading back some of those books, he makes the day light. In a world that can be heavy, he makes the day light.
Amazing. As you mentioned about your kids, how many kids you got?
2.
2? So far, what's the most beautiful lesson you've learned through them?
Patience.
Eric always say that.
Yeah. I never had it, and it's still a work in progress. But if it were not for them, I would not have any patience within my characteristics at all. Yeah.
Very good. Next one. Let's do it. Eric, before the next question, I was checking a little bit your Instagram and I could see there, you do like a podcast calling Friday Coffee?
Yes. Yep.
So tell
Friday
me
Coffee with your mortgage man, Eric.
So tell me a little bit about it, how everything started.
So I think it's been 3 years now, approximately 3 years since I've been doing the videos. And, you know, it started in a time when business was actually a little slow for me. So I went through some coaching mechanisms. And, you know, and of course, the coach that I had at that time, that was one of his tips and advice, social media, video. And regardless of what it is, it just has to, you've got to put it out there. You have to continuously keep trying to put it out there. And people will start following it. People will start to recognize it. And it's true. So, you know, and mortgages and the lending world comes natural to me. So, you know, I can just pick a topic or two and just wing it. And so, yeah, I enjoy it.
And it comes along every Friday. How does it work?
Yeah, I mean, ideally it would be every Friday, but you know, the business of life and my career, sometimes it just does not allow that to happen. And I think some of it's because I was doing it every Friday. So my business got bigger, busier. And, you know, I sit on a couple boards, organizations, real estate organizations, that have me there on a Friday morning. So I can no longer do it every Friday morning. I wish I could, because I get a lot of positive feedback from it. But it is something that's on my consciousness, that any moment, any Friday I have the opportunity to do it, I'm doing.
Amazing. Next question is, what's your spirit animal?
Would say, you know, it's funny, I answered this question a couple months back at one of those board meetings that were going around. and it was, you know, I'm going to answer it the same way, but they were a little shocked by my answer. And it's a hyena.
Interesting. Tell me why.
and the hyena is, you know, I love the hyena. And because the hyena is, I think it's an animal that always gets overlooked, especially in fairy tales and books and, you know, video, you know, documentaries, because it's not the fluffiness, you know, it's not the beautiful lion or the cheetah, but the hyena. Nobody messes with the hyena, like, especially when they're in packs. Like you just don't, like a lion and a hyena go face to face, like the hyena wins, like the lion, you know what I mean? So I look at the hyena like as such a fierce, underrated animal of the wildlife. I mean, so I have much respect for the hyena. And I love the noises that they make. If you ever gone to the zoo, I mean, you're like, what's that noise? Like it almost, like, are they kids laughing? Like, no, that's hyenas.
I was about to ask you if you have seen one in real life. So you have in the zoo.
Yep. Yes, I have.
Interesting. I had already a lot of guests here on the show, and you are the first one who says that when this question came along. Interesting. Next question. All right. Next question is, describe yourself in one positive word and one negative word only.
Energetic.
Positive or negative?
That's that's positive. Negatively judgmental.
Tell me a little bit about why. Which way?
Judgmental. Two things. One was, you know, the way I was raised. You know, I was raised in a very poor atmosphere, single mom, and going to school and dealing with that. Kids can be mean, man. Especially kids can be really mean, and so facing that animal in life early on, it's like you fight them or you join them, and to survive, I ended up joining in regret now later on in life. But at that time, it's the only way I knew how to adapt and survive. And then in today's world, fast forward, my job, my career, I'm paid to judge all day long, every day. It's what we do. It's what we're paid to do, with credit reports and income levels and career positions and bank statements and asset statements. And, we're paid to make judgmental decisions all day long. So I have to, some days it's hard to turn off the switch when I come home from work and be like, okay, I need to put that, no, stop being judgmental, Eric.
Saying that, as I can see how much you enjoy your job, your business, there is a day that you can switch off completely from your business, or it literally is there every single day. At least like on your day off, you can like answer an email or check something, or you can disconnect completely sometimes.
I can never disconnect 100% completely, even on weekends, even on holidays. There's always the hope, Christmas, Thanksgiving, are probably the 2 days of the year that, there's hope. And some days I make it through, a whole day on Thanksgiving or Christmas that I won't get an inquiry, a phone call from a realtor or a client. But if it does happen, it's usually for a reason, right? They're out, they're looking for a home. It's the night of Christmas, or it's Christmas Eve, is what it is. And they need to get an answer from their lender, or they need to get the pre-approval letter from their lender. Unfortunate as it may be, so yeah, there's never a time that I can just 100% disconnect. Even when I go on vacations, there are times I got to go back to the hotel room and do email, return calls, those kinds of things. And now it's limited, of course. I'm not working an 8-hour or 10-hour day on a vacation most of the time, but there's still a few hours I got to put in each day, even when on vacation. So there's that.
Ready for another one?
Yes.
Let's do it. Next question. All right. Next question is, I'm not sure if this one, okay, let's try. What is your funniest memory of a date that you had?
Funniest memory.
Funniest or unforgettable or crazy, something that you go like, wow, that was a date to remember.
Yeah, I one does come to mind. Back in high school, so we're going back into the late '80s now. But I remember I was on a date, and we were playing miniature golf, and I had accidentally, and they have all the features on the miniature golf course, and one of them was like a little water creek, and I had accidentally stepped back into the creek and then fell into the creek in the miniature golf course. Embarrassing. It was funny.
The situation helped to the thing to go along, or it kind of break down a little bit?
No, it was fine because, I had been dating a particular girl for, a year, at that point. So we were fairly comfortable with one another.
I see. Amazing. Next one. Let's do it. Right. Before the next question, again, I was checking your profile and I saw something there that got my attention. It says there are no wrong questions. We are here for you. tell me about those wrong questions. What is the misconception that people has, or what's something that, if you can explain a little bit about this little statement?
Yeah, so there's, a lot of misconceptions about home ownership and what it takes to get there. They think that they have to have perfect credit, or they think they have to have a huge down payment, 20% down payments. They think that they can't get any help from maybe a government entity for down payment assistance or family members. So there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to home ownership. That's why I'm like, there's no bad questions. There's no dumb questions. Ask away. Otherwise, in my career, I have found where people absolutely, the conversation they first have, you could tell they're just completely defeated. They have this perception in their mind that, I'm never going to be a homeowner, but I promised my mom I would have the phone call. And 20 minutes later after the phone call, these guys could have been homeowners 3 years ago. That is a reality that happens. So yeah, give you an example. There's no bad question. Ask away.
Okay. Next question is, what have you learned during the first lockdown in 2020 when the world went literally upside down? What's the biggest lesson you've learned through that challenge journey that we still live a little bit?
The lesson that I've learned, I don't know, to be honest with you, because I took it in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I really didn't learn any lessons. To be honest with you, I knew on day one how I was going to react to it and my opinions of it. And that carried the whole way through. It still carries to that day. So I would say that I think a lot of people, their lessons that they've learned was, especially here in the United States, be careful where you live. Be careful in which state that you live in, because you may be locked down. And so we've, in these last 2 years, especially that first year, we've seen such a movement of people leaving one state and going to another because of lockdowns. And what that did to people, especially our children, it was just vastly wrong, in my opinion, for what happened to our kids, what they've done to our kids. The online schooling, what they stole from our children. We're going to see the detriments to that to come in the years for a while, till that's going to phase out. So lessons that I really didn't learn a lesson other than, I trust my government even less now than what I did before. I'm a product of the 80s. And I tell people this all the time. I'm 50 years old. I said, I grew up in a time where, regardless of who was president, I never trusted my government. I didn't. Local government, state government, federal government, I never trusted a word they've ever said. I've always second guessed it. And I want to find out for myself. I want to, is the oven hot? I don't know. Let me touch it for myself. So that is the how I grew up, is always second guessing, always, not taking everything that they said as biblical, never believing 100% of what comes out of their mouths. And so, it just has reaffirmed that for me.
I think that, Eric, in your opinion, with this crisis, what's the biggest positive impact that brought to your business, or to this, this that you work with, not just yours, but like overall, in your opinion?
Yeah.
And what's the negative one, the most positive and negative one, if there was any?
Yeah, so the most positive one for business, I mean, my business just boomed during the pandemic. And it just, part of it is because interest rates had fell, and unbeknownst to the pandemic, like they had started falling about 30 days before the pandemic had went into effect. Rates had fallen dramatically. And so as a result of that, there was a refinance boom that was created. Arguably, maybe the biggest refinance boom in US history. So we made tons of money during that time period. And it didn't feel right because you couldn't spend it. Couldn't go to the mall, and spend it. You can't go out to a lovely dinner, right? You can't spend it. So it didn't feel right. Now, another thing that was a positive silver lining that came out of it is that I had a chance with my children, both of them, for a learning education on this to, not trust your government. And we took it to another level. So we spent more time together. We traveled. When the rest of the world was shut down, we were on airplanes and we were going to places, states that you could fly to that were wide open. And we were operating in normal capacity. So, and we were having just an amazing time with it. We were going to theme parks that were at 6% capacity. So you walked right onto the roller coaster, right? There was no rides. And this time that we had spent together as a family was absolutely amazing because we didn't spend it in the living room under the couch. We spent it outside visiting, going to beaches, trail running, hiking. I was on mountains with my kids. In today's world, they're back to school. Thank God they're back to school. But we just can't go on a Wednesday and go trail running on the mountain. So during that time, me and my kids became so focused on health, fitness, family connection. So that was a big benefit. The downside is what I saw, what it did to their education, because it was that year of online learning was absolutely pointless, completely worthless. So that part of it was bad. And, stealing I tell people this a lot, like, you want to steal a year or two from an adult, it's a different story. But as a child, think about this. As a child, how many years do you really have as a child? Maybe you can start childhood at the age of 5 or 6. And by the age of 15, 16, they're kind of done. They're moving on. So you got about 10 years of childhood activities. And you take 1 year away from that, that's 10% of somebody's childhood that you've just taken from them. And it's not fair. It's a large detriment to our children. And what else I had seen is scholastic athletics were shut down. So what was hindered with that is our children that come from a lower and moderate socioeconomic that had no opportunities to do anything because those programs were shut down and their parents could not afford to put them in club sports. So those kids literally sat on the couch for a year and a half, 2 years, and did not grow athletically, fitness, or scholastically. So what we saw was that divide just got deeper, bigger. That was a very unfortunate thing with our kids in the pandemic, is the divide got bigger, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think the world now, we are back to normal again. I think we can see some improvement, but yeah, it was hard to see all this situation happening. Of course, you're parenting, you know better than anyone else how hard it was to deal with those situations, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard. I mean, and especially those that were living in close knit communities. You know, you're living with 8 people in an apartment or home, and you got your grandmother in that home. I mean, that's a different situation that you have than a family of 4. That's just their, that's just them. So it hit everybody differently. It really did.
Sure. Right. I have 3 questions left for you, Eric.
Let's do it.
I'm glad you said that. It means that we are enjoying. The time is just flying.
It does.
Right. Next question for you is, what was the biggest punishment have you ever received?
I would say the biggest punishment I've ever received, I'd have to go back into childhood, and look at reprimands from my mother, and not being able, being grounded, taking that freedom away from being able to go with other kids, play with other kids, or even better yet, when you're in scholastic activities or, summer athletics, and you do something wrong, and you're on a week or 2 week grounding, which means you also now cannot play baseball. You cannot go to those baseball games for the next 1 or 2 weeks. That as a child, that was so impactful. So I would say they were the harshest penalties I've ever received.
Saying that, when you look back, if you could erase that period of your life, would you do that knowing the person you are today or not? You would keep it?
I would not erase any portions of my life. There are a handful of some bad decisions that I made that I would eradicate. But the overall period, I wouldn't erase, because there's so many life lessons in there on where I came from, really against all odds. So being able to have gone through some of those trials and tribulations in life is hopefully an inspiration to others. Those that come from poor families, poverty, single parents, welfare, food stamps, that come from there, you're not limited to just that. You can rise above that. Is it hard? Yes, you can. Can you break the chain of dysfunctionalism? Yes, you can. But it is a very difficult task, and I think we know that worldwide, that is a huge problem that we have in today's world, is that chain. It just keeps going on to the next generation, to the next generation. So when you have people that have risen from that and have made it, I think they're inspiring. You can hear some of their, what they did to get there, and leaving my family, that small town, the comfort zone, my friends, my family, all behind, was the hardest thing I could ever do. But I knew if I did not leave them, I'm going to be right here in this same situation in life 30 years from now.
I just want to share something private, personal about myself. This same that made me go through my memories in life, and I totally understand what you're saying. And I was 19 years old when I left Brazil. I came to Europe on my own, and looking for a better life, looking for opportunities, live in a place where I could speak English every day was my dream as a teenager. And yesterday I was doing an interview, and a lovely guy asked me a question. He made me think, actually. He said to me, William, during your teenager, there was something said, I don't remember the question, but there was something said that you felt sad at the time and I was like, my God, this is a very interesting question, because at the time, I remember when I was a teenager, I was about to go to university to law school, and I could go through, I could go it, but my parents couldn't help me, couldn't afford me, so I couldn't get the university. Saying that at the time, of course, was at the time as a teenager, of course, you know what I mean? Nowadays, of course, I did a different way. It was a bit sad because, I want to follow it. And I remember seeing my friends, like, they were going through, they were studying, and their parents could pay apartment for them. They could pay the food and everything. And I couldn't. And I literally, Eric, I had 4 jobs. I was living on my own in the capital. I was working McDonald's in the evening. I was teaching English for children twice in 2 different schools during the week.
Wow.
I was babysitting the weekend. Like, there was a friend in my building that she had a baby, and they were going out, and I was literally looking after her baby like the weekend. So looking back, I was like, my God, at the time, it was so like adventure that I didn't realize how much I was doing, because I was paying for my, you know what I mean, to try to go to university. And I remember my friends, they were just going out, they were doing things, and I was like, and at the time when I was feeling tired sometimes, like, oh my God, I wish I could be doing that. That's how I felt sad, but just for the moment, yeah? But I was enjoying so much my journey. I was enjoying so much that when I look back, I'll go like, my God, I wouldn't change a little thing, because it was such an important period of my life that I bring with me right now, that, how for you to go after your dreams, to follow. There are no negative, there are no no's. You need to follow your intuition and this and that. And but he made me go through my memories, and I never thought about this way. And actually, I remember sometimes at that time, I was feeling sad sometimes when I was too tired and I couldn't do things that my friends they were doing at the time. I was feeling, but it was just like moments of sadness. It didn't change my day, it didn't change my mood. It was just moments, yeah. So I totally understand what you mean. Sometimes you just need to, you know what I mean, to go away and follow your dreams, not accept the world you are living at the time. It's not something that you're not looking for. It's not wrong or right. It's just if you want to improve or move, why not? Yeah, I understand.
Right. The sacrifices and the hard work that you did is why you're here, where you're at today. The successes that you have. It's possible. It's like, yeah, it is. It's possible.
Absolutely.
It can happen. Yep.
I've got goosebumps now. There's no impossible. If you really believe it, if you really think, okay, I can, trust me, everything works together. The universe, your power, everything goes together.
100%. I totally agree. The doors will open. The karma that you put out in the world, it will come back to you. And your positive energy, positive spirit, hardworking mentality, it will be rewarded. It may take years, but it will be rewarded at some point.
For sure. Totally agree. 2 questions left for you. Let's do it. All right. Next question is, again, about dating. You have kids, maybe you can answer that. What do you think is a good age to start dating, and why?
Well, yeah, asking me as a parent, I'm going to have a different opinion versus when I was a teenager, right? And that's one of the things I've seen change, and that's a good change in today's adolescents, teenagers, because back in the 80s, I think we were promiscuous much earlier. They're not to say that they don't have their problems in today's world with opiate drug usage and stuff like that, but dating, I mean, I'm pleasantly surprised. Like with my 15-year-old son, the last thing on his mind is girls. He and all his friends are pretty much the same way as well. They're into their athletics. And being a better athlete and what it takes to be a better athlete and a scholar, making sure that their grades are A's and B's. And that is where their focus is at. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And now it's funny, he's a sophomore this year. His friends that are now seniors, the seniors finally have a girlfriend. And so I'm like, wow, I'm okay with that. I am so okay with that. I'm like, thank you.
That's a very good parent talking about. That's very good parent talk, I can see. But I understand your point. Absolutely. I think, nowadays, the words, there are so much things that you can do there that you can, you know what I mean, put your mind in a different way, that relationships just like a second plan, let's say. You know what I mean? It's something that comes with time. Let's put it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Ready for the last one?
Yes.
Last question. Let's do it. Right, but before the last question, through your career, I would like you to tell me one of the case that you had, one of your clients that put a house with you that for some reason was emotional, for some reason was difficult, was hard, or maybe was something different that you went like, okay, that it's a moment that I'll never forget the situation, if you can share.
Yeah, I've had, probably a dozen of those types of transactions in my career where they never thought it was possible. I knew it was going to be a very daunting task to get them across the finish line. And, with a large family, a lot of kids, hardly any money, blue collar working parents, every dime counts. And they're sleeping on a couch and somebody's, until the close of escrow happens. And, and 2 days before the close of escrow, now they're in the U-Haul trucks with all their belongings, and they're sleeping in the U-Haul truck until the close of escrow happens. And, so it becomes mounting pressure of emotions that they're putting on me. So, and that's happened probably a dozen times in my career. And that when it happens, they finally get that word, we are funded, the home is yours, that they're in tears. They're absolutely the most gracious people on the planet in that moment. But that story has happened, like I said, about a dozen times in my career.
Did you ever get emotional with them as well?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard not to. I mean, in what I do, I most often know more about them than they know about themselves by the end of the transaction. And especially like with spouses, I'll know more about the husband than the wife knows about the husband before the end of the transaction, because I got this credit report. I know examples like I see a collection on his credit report that's from behavioral health, which means he's gone to rehab at some point in his life, and it's like, well, now we have to address this. And like, well, my wife doesn't know that I was in rehab. I'm like, no, you guys got to have a conversation about it now.
I can see now your clients came up to you, say, Eric, now can you tell me a little bit more about the past of my husband in the past, please?
So when you're so involved with their life, you see everything. There's nothing that's hidden. The veil is completely pulled back. All of their assets, all of their debts, all of their spotty employment issues, and whether they were terminated, fired, or I know all of that stuff.
You could write a book about all these stories. Of course, not names, but it would be, I think, a bestseller.
We have to change the names to protect the people.
Absolutely. Last question for you is, what is the most beautiful thing someone has ever said to you?
I think when somebody genuinely says to you, I love you, I think that is the most beautiful thing that you could say to another human. Yep.
In minutes,
You
for
mean it.
sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, it's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game. I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking, okay?
Okay.
So, I hope you are enjoying the interview. Before we do the word association game, don't forget to give a like, don't forget to share this video, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Just click on the button right there. Thank you so much and enjoy the word association game. Family.
My kids.
Money.
My career.
One word for love.
My wife.
One word for life.
Fitness.
Interesting. Sex.
Women.
Politics.
Politics.
Yeah.
Doom.
Religion.
Doom.
Fear.
Negative.
Friendship.
Positivity.
Desire.
Drive.
Regrets.
Past.
Success.
Career.
One word for wish.
Hope.
One word for happiness.
Inner self.
One word for Pennsylvania.
Home.
One word for Phoenix.
Home. It's funny. I mean, right? I mean, I'm
All
50
right.
years old and I've spent about half my life here and half my life in Pennsylvania.
One word for USA.
Amazing.
One word for mortgage.
Complex.
The last one now. Let me see if I'm gonna get right. Yeah. www.erickinneman.com. Did I say right?
My website?
Yeah.
EricKinnemanLoans.com.
One word for that.
Quick.
Interesting. Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your lovely wife for a coffee, and I'm going to ask her, tell me the most beautiful thing about Eric, and tell me something that he still needs to work on, to improve on. What she would say?
She would probably say that he's very humorous, always cracking jokes, funny. And then she would say the thing I need to work on is keeping my opinions to myself. I'd put $1,000 on that right now, she's saying.
I can see her watching the interview and she was like, yes, you're totally right. You know me very well. Let's play now, Eric and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. All right, you can ask me a question now.
Yeah, the question I want to ask you is, what was your desire, or what made you do this very thing that you're doing right now? What was the key ingredient to make you do this?
Good question. And I'll tell you now, Eric, I strongly believe that all of us, we can do different things in life and still be very happy. Yeah, we can do things, different careers, I think all of us have different talents that we can do it and be happy and live a happy life. Saying that, I knew that for a long time, but I always was asking myself, my goodness, what I came to this world for? What is my thing? And I always admire people when I growing up with friends and seeing people when they go like, oh my God, I was born for that. I love what I do. I wake up every morning for that. And I was like, I was admire that. And I was asking myself why, what I came to this world for. Anyway, first lockdown, when the world went upside down, people, they were, you know what I mean, over the place, not knowing, everything was, you know, under control. Nobody knew what was happening, and the mental health, everyone else was a bit, you know what I mean, confused. And I was involved in that as well. I remember here in London, the first lockdown, we could just leave the house once a day, like for exercise, for run, or, you know, doing some jogging and everything. And I remember, and I've always been involved in sports, like running. I was playing volleyball as a teenager, so I love sports. And actually, I thought, my God, how I'm gonna survive that without, you know what I mean, like having my current sports. And I've always been very creative as well. I always like have this, not doing the show now, of course, I started talking to people and listen to their stories. And I realized that I always had this thing about connect with people. Believe it or not, I'm very shy, and people, they go like, my friends, they go like, I would love to be shy like you. But they misunderstand, because I'm very easy talking to people. When I start talking, I just can go on and on and on, and I you know what I mean, somehow I can connect easily with people. So the first lockdown started, and I had this idea. I said, oh my God, I'd like to do something creative where I can, you know what I mean, be busy and doing my stuff and do something that is gonna put my head in a different direction. So I started have some ideas, but of course it's quite, you know what I mean, it's difficult because there's so much things happening in the world right now. There's so much creativity, people, they are doing a lot. But I knew somehow, I said, okay, let's go with the flow. And one day, like I was doing my exercise, I went for a run in the park. And I remember my head was everywhere. I was thinking about Brazil, about my life, about what's happening in the world right now, about friends, you know, everything. And suddenly this idea came along, and I was like, my goodness, I remember the moment, because I stopped it and I literally lost my thoughts. I'm like, my God, I remember the exact place where I was. Saying that, Eric, I think that the show, it's something that's it's me, like expressing myself. When my friends who knows me very well, when they see the show, they go like, my goodness, Will, I feel like you're talking to me by my side, because, you know, I completely forget that I'm recording. I just remember when I'm talking about and when I'm editing, because even though sometimes when I'm editing interviews, I go like, oh my God, I don't believe I said that. I can't believe I just get so comfortable with the, you know what I mean, with my guest, and this kind of the mirror, yeah? But anyway, so answer to your question, I think the whole thing about the show is about being myself. It's about me expressing the way I am, letting people be themselves. I think there are so many people around the world. Everyone has a lot of stories to tell, a lot of interesting lives. And I think that doing that, it's something that I can tell with my eyes shine. I was born for that. If I would see anyone else doing the same thing, I'd go like, oh my goodness, I would love to be doing that. And so I don't know, it's just a genuine interaction, very simple. I just have my phone here with some lights, and I just have the music on. I just have the questions here in front of me, and that's it. You know what I mean? It's just a simple interaction that makes me happy, makes me find myself. I could do that like for 24 hours non-stop, because just feeling the energy from the other side, it just gives me more and more and more energy. So yeah, back to your question. I think the inspiration, or you know what I mean, it's about being myself. As a teenager, I remember even before I started doing the show, when I go on vacation with friends, there was always a moment I stopped and I was like, oh, who was your favorite teacher? Oh, tell me something interesting about your parents. This kind of interaction I always had. And even my close friend, they know that. So literally what I'm doing here right now is just being myself, and actually letting my guests be themselves as well, and be able to connect with other people around the world. I know it's a long answer, but that's for you to understand what is the inspiration, why I feel so myself doing that, why you know what I mean? For me, it's just like a normal thing to do. So yeah, that's my answer to you.
Oh, it's great. I mean, I can tell you have a very kindred spirit, you know, very kind. And, you know, I like what you're doing. When I started looking at some of your other videos, your other interviews, I mean, I think it's a great idea, like to interview people from around the world, from different walks of life. I mean, I love the idea. I mean, it's amazing.
It's something so simple, literally, because I didn't put too much on it. I remember, like, when I came out with the idea, I remember writing down the question, going on Google and do some research and get some more, question based on other ones. And here I am, you know what I mean? And that's it. That's the whole point of the show. And just being myself and let people be themselves and let people connect with the other world. I could literally be another hour here with you just talking about people like who participate on the show already send me back message saying, my God, William, I watched this interview like from someone in Australia, and this person had the same situation I had like when I was a teenager. This kind of stories people are sharing. Imagine people watching this interview here right now. Imagine how much they're gonna appreciate what you're saying. The first question was quite deep, actually, about your situation when you had. Imagine how many people, maybe just listen to you. You could kind of comfort their heart, or maybe they're going through that right now, and maybe just listen to someone who went through, it's already recovered. I've got goosebumps already talking about, because it's so powerful. Sometimes listen to people, random people around the world, it can warm our hearts and can put us in a better place. That's what I believe.
Yeah. I mean, and you're right. I mean, it's no matter who you are or how wealthy you are, how successful you are, everybody has trials and tribulations in their life, man. And it's, you know what I mean? It's sometimes social media hides it. It covers it up. The perfect Facebook life, as they say. But man, when you get down to the person, you find like they had some hardship. They had something bad happen to them. They've gone through some mud somewhere in their life.
Absolutely. And that's what makes life interesting in a way. Just, you know what I mean? Knowing that we are very vulnerable, we are very strong. At the same time, you know what I mean? We can be up and down, and that's what life is about. So like a roller coaster, to be up and down and living life.
Yes, sir.
Did you have a good time?
I did. Thank you. Yes.
Thanks so much for taking the time. I know you're very busy and you took the time for the interview. But before you go, if you just can share a positive message, something that you live by.
Yeah, positive message. So I would say it doesn't matter what you've gone through or where you've been. Don't worry about what others think about you. Stop worrying about what others think about you. You'll be a happier person. And no matter where you've come from in life, don't limit yourself. You can be whatever you want to be. With hard work. Don't limit yourself, and stop worrying about what people think about you. And once that happens, once you've understood that, you'll be a happier person inside.
You take this heavy thing off your shoulder, and you just feel more relieved. Because whatever you do, people they're gonna talk about you. They're gonna judge you in a positive, negative way. So knowing that, live life, be true to yourself, and the right people will come, the wrong people will go, and you're gonna be a better life.
The right people will start becoming around you. You'll surround yourself with the right people and feed the positivity into them, and get rid of the negative, dead weight. The doom weight off of your back. Get rid of it. Yeah.
Regards to your kids, your wife, and your family, and keep in touch. Thanks for the interview, Eric. Thanks so much.
Thank you, William. Take care, man. God bless.
Take care. Bye. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show, and I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.